Hello gainers, welcome to my channel called Fitter Philosophy. I'm Ralphie and I'm completing a 3-part series on intermittent fasting for a very simple reason. It's something which really works for me when I'm losing a little bit of winter weight from around the middle, and I think there's absolutely no harm, and it is perfectly natural for us to put on a little bit of body fat around the waistline during the winter months when it is colder and we need more reserves to help boost our immune system against diseases and other infections. But during the summer, when the days are longer and the nights are shorter, we can lose a little bit and get a part of our shape back. It kind of helps to sort of keep us challenging ourselves not to grow old too fast. And what really works for me for losing the tummy fat is intermittent fasting. It works far better than anything else. And there are 3 primary benefits of this. The first 2 are fairly straightforward, but I'm going to focus on the 3rd benefit of intermittent fasting, because this is really far more important than people realise, and it affects everybody, particularly people who live in countries where you find supermarkets. So it's no longer a Western world disease, it's a global disease, and I'm going to address it shortly. So the 3 big bonuses of fasting, which means to deprive ourselves intermittently of nutrition. So basically, we don't eat for a while, which lets our bodies rest, which lets the body take energy reserves from fat stores because it can't get the energy out the food that's being digested. And you can start with a half-day fast and advance to a full-day fast. The key to success is in the word intermittent. It's to do these fasting occasionally, not too often, otherwise we can shock our system and it starts to close down. So, 3 benefits, big bonuses of intermittent fasting. The one is to feel fresher. It's good to have a rest. A rest, as they say, is as good as a change. And when we give our body a rest, it just appreciates it. It's not having to commit energy and reserves to digesting food and having the whole digestive process and all the organs involved in that working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it appreciates having a little bit of a rest. So the rest of us, well, the energy is redistributed to the rest of the body and we feel a little bit fresher. We feel just a bit lighter because we're not carrying a full stomach of food, and we just have a little bit more energy because more energy is there to tap into. So to feel fresher is one of the first and most immediate benefits, along with the feeling of success that you've actually achieved it. Then the other thing is being more alert. This is the 2nd big bonus. Mentally alert, because what affects the body affects the mind. The 2 are inseparable, and yet they're often considered and treated as separate items. But literally, the brain is fed by the body, and the brain reacts to the body's condition each and every time without exception, unless there's some major psychological disturbance. So to feel more alert is another big bonus and helps to justify having an intermittent fast and going through the self-discipline of it. But the 3rd and final big bonus is the most important, and it's called autophagy, or autophage. And it's basically 2 words rolled into one. Auto and phagy, or phage. Self-eat. Auto is self, automatic, self, and phage is eating. So the body, in fact, in absence of expected and anticipated food, will start to do other things, and it will go into this more pronounced maintenance mode And this maintenance mode, superficially, you could call it self-eating, but it's far more complex and far more positive than that. Sure, there's a bit of self-eating because it's eating up the fat in the fat reserves to use as energy, which is what we want. But in the maintenance side of things, the organs involved in digestion and all the other organs in working together interactively, they have time to rest, and therefore they attend to other functions that they cannot do as effectively as when involved in the process of digesting food, particularly harder to digest, highly processed, engineered food, supermarket food. This self-maintenance is hugely important to the quality of our long-term survival. Having regular maintenance modes due to intermittent fasting, created by intermittent fasting and caused by autophagy, is just like getting your car serviced. Your car's going to run a lot longer and a lot more successfully, give you more miles and have less wear and tear and require less long-term maintenance if you get regular intermittent servicing. And autophagy is intermittent servicing of our own bodies. And I put it to you this way: when is the only time in our lives where we have wisdom, experience, physical health, fingers crossed, and money, enough money to spend because we're not paying any debts? When is the only time in our life when we have these three situations? It's when we're older. That's the time when we can enjoy them. But if we're just busy overeating and passively grazing, directed by food marketing propaganda, what kind of quality of life are we setting up for our older years when we're older? And when we finally, after a lifetime of working and struggling and paying debts and all the rest of it and gaining experience, that's an important bit. When's the one time that we actually have the opportunity to enjoy the wealth we've created for ourselves? It's when we're older. And yet, if we're suffering from ill health, we can't enjoy it properly. And also, it foreshortens our life. There's three main primary causes of diseases in the Western disease causes of death in the Western world are diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. You could also include the misprescription of medication. There's a lot of evidence for that, but you don't generally see it. The overconsumption of pharmaceuticals that are not necessary, and I do include recreational drugs in that because they're much more damaging than we realise in the long term. They cause a lot of wear and tear, simple as that, on the mechanism. But diabetes, overconsumption of sugar and refined carbohydrates, treatable, preventable, quality eating, intermittent fasting, and steady exercise. You don't have to be a triathlete. Just little and often. Heart disease. Overconsumption of vegetable oils. The things that clog the arteries. And I'm not talking about eggs and cholesterol. There's good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. We've got to do our research. We are responsible for ourselves. Nobody else. As soon as we hand over responsibility to others, they may not look after our best interests. Understand that. And third and finally, cancer. What causes cancer? Cancer is caused by rogue cells in the body multiplying without having a purpose as part of the body's function. It happens naturally, and for 99.9% of the time, a healthy body can identify these cancer cells and shut them down and close them off. But we need to give ourselves a helping hand here, people. We need to give ourselves the best chance of evading cancer. We don't know what's ahead of us, but we load the dice as best we can with the resources we have. Simples. And intermittent fasting is a very good tool to inhibit the development of cancer in the body as part of a healthy lifestyle in which we are not passively grazing chemically loaded, over-processed food, which makes as much profit in the long term for pharmaceutical companies as it does for food companies. I'm just sharing, I'm just saying. I hope you find this useful, and I hope you've enjoyed this mini-series. I'm Ralphie, and I'm going to get out and about for my next video and talk about something else completely and totally different next time I see you. Bye-bye.